looking for quality food storage for hiking, fishing, hunting, basic survival needs, or just for everyday use, check out our food storage line at carolinaprepper.com. We also carry other fine quality products such as our can concealment holsters for men and women. Keeping your firearm under cover and within reach puts confidence in your hands in any situation. Our products are 100% American made. Check us out today at carolinaprepper.com.
Knowles on the news. Susan Knowles.
And welcome everybody to another edition of Knowles on the news. I hope you are doing well. I hope you are not anywhere near Irma. We've seen a lot in the last couple of weeks. I mean, we've had a lot going on with Harvey. And people there in Houston are still dealing with the aftermath. Some people are nowhere near anywhere of being, able to say, we're fine now. This is it's all over with, and this is great. It's not going to happen that way. It's not going to be that easy for people. I think this is something that it's going to continue happening for a long time, and we see that it's true in places like Houston. And there have been a lot of people who are pretty much heroes out of Houston. We watched as everybody came in there and just did what they were supposed to do as human beings and helping one another. And it was refreshing in some ways, to see that. Not refreshing to see the tragedy, but refreshing to see that human beings, that Americans are really who we think they are, and things that in that respect haven't changed, even though the left would have us believe that everybody's a racist. And again, it fits their narrative to do so, and so they'll continue doing that, of course. But you and I know the truth. Some things that are going on right now. We have the House that has approved an $8 billion package for the repairs and anything that's needed in Houston. And I know that the Republicans wanted a vote on that and the debt ceiling, that to increase the debt ceiling. I don't think they got that, because why would they, right? At any time now that it involves the Republicans and what they want, even though they're in charge of the House, the Senate, they have the majority and that, and they're the president, we're still not getting what we want. We're getting what the Democrats want. And I don't think anything is going to change about that, unfortunately, because we have too many people who are Republicans who really should just walk across over there to the Democrats because they're nothing more than Democrats. So we're gonna see that, I think, more and more as time goes on. But we pray for the people in Houston that they can repair what needs to be repaired, that they can rebuild, to get their houses back and their lives back. And the animals there as well. I know that a lot of them were shipped out, and hopefully the people who had pets will be able to be reunited with them. So we do continuously pray for those in Harvey. We're turning our attention now more to Irma. Irma is looking really bad. I've heard people talking about if they could make it a Category 6, they would. And that this is something that's going to be as bad, if not worse, than Hurricane Andrew in 1992. And that was a lot of damage, as you may recall. So I know right now they're telling people to just get out of Florida the best way they can. I think people should heed that warning. I know that people that I know personally, part of the family is going, part of the family refuses to go. And they think that, that everything will be fine, that they'll be able to withstand the winds and all that. Well, I tell you, I haven't been in winds that high, but I have been in winds that are, let's say, spurts of, 60 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour, and not sustained winds. And that was bad enough. I mean, I can't imagine sustained winds of over 100 miles an hour, whatever that type of category is coming on shore to Florida. Now, we can hope that it lessens and it won't be a Category 6 or a 5 or anything else, but it's not looking that way so far. And the governor is saying, get out, brace yourself, brace the entire state of Florida needs to get prepared, and you need to do it now. Don't wait, go now. And I know that, with Harvey, people stayed behind. The mayor said, stay behind. Don't get out on the roads. Don't listen to the governor, essentially, and get out. Don't get on the roads. Just stay home. I don't know that works so well. I guess we'll never know what it would have been had they gone. But people that were left behind, some died. I did read a horrible example of a human being who went into one house in Houston to loot it during the floods, and the owner of the house was floating on the water, had passed away during the floods, and the despicable person was in the house still continuing to loot around the dead body. So there's always going to be people like that in this world, and we know that. So we just have to sort of resign ourselves to knowing that's how some people are. But for the most part, they're very good people. And I know that Houston right now is going to be dealing with some other problems. And I read that there's a high level of carcinogen benzene that's been detected in Houston. And the high levels of volatile organic compounds linked to liver damage and cancer have also been detected. And there's a Valero refinery down there, and I guess that is their oil and gas refinery. And they said that a floating roof covering a tank sank during the storm, the hurricane in Harvey, and that's causing some of the issues that they're having in Houston with the carcinogens and everything else kind of leaking. So, it's not over in Houston. It's just beginning for those people in Irma. And, we have to pray for each other, protect each other, show Irma and the people there in Irma and the United States and the world will be watching Irma, in Florida, how people in Florida treat other people. I suspect that it's going to be exactly what we saw in Houston, that people will be out helping their neighbors, transporting people out of floods, just like they did in Houston. I know a group of people that I know, the Arizona Veterans on Patrol, the homeless veterans. They just got back from Houston. They went there, set up a staging area, got Houston up and running, set up a whole area in a mall, and got food, water, supplies, and everything else that they could get there. And they're going to do it again. They just got back to Arizona, and now they're driving out to. They're going to be stopping in Georgia, to an area out there to get their supplies and move on over to Florida and do what they did before. And I'm telling you, people are just are amazing. When they need to be, they step up and they really get things done. And I want to give you the address. If you happen to want to send donations sort of now, ahead of time, before the people in Florida really need them, I've been told that you can send them. These are the homeless veterans in Arizona. This is where they're going to be going, and they said that you can send donations, gift cards. They do not take cash, so don't send cash. But the address is OIS Relief. That's OIS Relief, in care of Keith Lasseter, Lasseter. And the address is 3916 Hilldale Road, Hilldale Road, in Oakwood, Georgia, 30556. So let's hope we get some donations out there. You can let them know if you want that you heard it on this program, Susan Knowles program. That way they'll know that it was you who sent it and how the message got to them as they continue to do more relief efforts like this across the country as they're needed. There's been a lot that's been going on in the country. People have been wondering, what's up with this? I mean, look at all the fires that we have right now. We have fires in Utah, Montana, Oregon. We have fires in Los Angeles. I'm hoping that's getting pretty much taken care of. It's called the La Tuna Fire, and that's up in LA near Burbank, Hollywood area. And the last I heard that it had burned 8,000 acres. Just finding out today that the Oregon fire, they think, was set by a 15-year-old boy who was lighting firecrackers. Nobody ever thinks that something is going to be that devastating. It's one of the reasons that we have to follow the laws, whether we like them or not. I'm sure in most areas, I know in California anyway, you can't set off firecrackers individually, although people like to do that. They take risks, and they put everybody else at risk for doing it. Especially in California, Oregon, it's very dry this time of year. A lot of bush around and bushes and dry area. And doing something like that can kill a lot of people, can kill a lot of animals and that are captured in a fire like that. So the best thing to do, whether you like it or not, is just not do it. Go to a fireworks show that's put on by professionals and people who know how to put out a fire if the need arises. Hopefully that would never be, but just in case. But in addition, to the fires, there have been a lot of earthquakes happening in places that you would never even think that there would be earthquakes. For example, in southeast Idaho, there have been, and probably more now, this was as of yesterday, from Saturday to Tuesday, actually till Monday, there were 100 earthquakes going on in southeast Idaho. Now, when is the last time you heard about earthquakes in southeast Idaho? I can't say that I ever have. And these are swarms. So these are some of them, I think the highest on the Richter scale was about 5.3. And the other ones are smaller ones. We have those in California a lot. After kind of a 5.3, you'll see little swarms all around. But again, that's California versus Idaho, where you never see something like that. People have asked, what does this mean? Why are we seeing so much of this? Is this, is God trying to punish us? And people with Irma coming up, again, what's God trying to do? Is God doing this? Well, some of this we know is man-made. For example, like I said, in Oregon, this is somebody who is a 15-year-old, they allege, started the fire. So that has nothing to do with God starting the fire. Some other people have said, it's not a punishment from God in natural disasters. A lot of times, it is God's way of trying to draw us closer to Him, trying to get our attention back on where it needs to be, and that's back on Him. And as you know, before the fires, we were dealing with Antifa every day. We were dealing with Charlottesville and everything happening there. The Confederate statutes they were the topic of the day. And once you have a natural disaster like Harvey or Irma, and some people are even saying, hey, that's not even a natural disaster, that's caused by the government seeding the clouds. Okay, whichever way you want to go. When you see that, and you see people having to come together because it's a life or death situation, suddenly you're not worried about Confederate statutes that mean nothing to most people. You don't worry about the little things. You don't worry about, why is Antifa doing what they're doing? I mean, that's something you probably really should continue to worry about, but know that God is even in control of that. These people, Antifa, we've talked about this a number of times, but it's worth mentioning to you. These are nothing more than communists who want to take down America, who want to break down the family, break down religion, break down everything that Americans hold near and dear. It's called communism. You may want to call it Antifa, progressivism, whatever you want to call it. It's communism. Know that those people have been around and will continue to be around forever because this is what they wanted to do, and they're going to continue to do it. And as we see things kind of breaking down around us, know that this is written. You know, it's in the Bible. It's in Revelation. We're told that things are going to deteriorate. And we're seeing that happen. We're seeing that happen with all of these fires and the earthquakes and the hurricanes. You know, we were told that they would increase and that there would be wars and rumors of wars. And so we're seeing the increase, the birth pangs, as it talks about in the Bible, about these things that were happening, that these natural disasters would be more and more. The earthquakes would come more and more. So we should be prepared for that. We should know it's coming. And, you know, you prepare the best way you can. You have food on water as much as you can. Prepare to have with you at all times, you know, in your house. An ability to do things that maybe will help you survive for a couple of days or a week or whatever the case may be. You know, the people like the homeless veterans, thank God for people like that who come out. They don't get paid. They come out because they want to. They're not government employees. They don't wait until something happens. They go now. And they're not like the Red Cross. I know a lot of people gave to the Red Cross. A lot of people like the Red Cross. The Red Cross does not give very much in the way of donations. When it comes to, you know, getting money from you, they give about 10 to 20% of the money goes to where you actually want the money to go, and the rest of it goes towards administrative costs. You should look for food banks. You should look for people like mercury1.org, and that's mercuryone.org, who say they give 100% of your donation to victims, you know, for whoever, wherever you want it to go, Irma, Harvey, wherever it goes. That's where you want your money to go, because the people on the ground need that. And I know from listening to the veterans, the homeless veterans that went to Harvey, one of the things that, and they're not blaming any one particular group for it, but this is just factual. This is information that you need to know. Once they got there and they set up and they were helping run everything and get the cars coming in practically like 24/7, getting food and clothing and water and any other supplies that they needed. A few days later, the National Guard comes in. They set up. They basically kick everybody out and run it the way they want to run it. And according to what the homeless veteran said, it collapsed. The whole setup collapsed because they wanted to run it like the government runs it. They didn't want the people locally there to be in charge of it. And I saw pictures of what was left behind, and it was just heaps of trash that had been left there when the program collapsed. And they kind of, from what I understand, the National Guard left before the whole program there collapsed. So, you know, if you have an ability to help people, you know, in times of need like that, let's say in Irma, if you happen to be around there, try to get things set up. Try to get things set up in an orderly fashion, getting food and water and supplies to people. And I was really surprised to see that businesses like Walmart opened up their doors to allow the homeless veterans to come in and get whatever they needed to take back to give to people who were in need because of Harvey. And that's the way it should be. And a man down there in Houston opened up his mattress store and had people coming in, sleeping on the new mattresses, sitting on the new furniture. And he didn't care. It was more important that people had some place to stay. And I just see here that the Congressional Democrats say Trump agrees to raise the debt ceiling limit for 3 months as a part of the Harvey deal. So getting back a little bit to that deal, they did get $8 billion and a debt ceiling raised for 3 months. First time for everything for the Republicans, I guess. But anyway, you know, getting back to seeing people for who they are, the man who opened up his store, that's the way it should be. You know, you don't gouge people in their time of need. And I'm hoping the people of Florida will remember that, and they will do just as well as Texas did, showing the world and Houston and around the surrounding area, that this is the way that we should be. This is who we are. This is who we are as Americans. We're compassionate, loving people, not the racists, and anything else, the Nazis, white supremacists, that the mainstream media and the liberal left would have you believe that Americans are. Don't believe the lie. And when I said, too, that there were birth pangs and we would see, God had said that we would see things happening like earthquakes increasing and tornadoes and things like that, we were also told that we would be seeing and hearing wars and rumors of war. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that. We're not hearing a lot of it, but we're hearing about things that are happening in Israel, with Iran getting closer and closer to Israel and coming in and setting up in Syria. And Israel has already said, we're not going to allow Israel to get a foothold here. And they're saying that Israel is saying that Iran is producing missiles there. And let's see, where would those missiles go? Well, presumably into Israel, because Iran hates Israel. Also, they could be sold to North Korea. And as you know, North Korea has supposedly done a testing of a hydrogen bomb. Now, where did they get that? Probably from North Korea. So you could thank Bill Clinton for that deal. And you can also thank Obama for the deal of the Iran nuclear deal. So you got two former Democrat presidents who put us in trouble in regards to with North Korea and Iran, with what now they're able to produce in North Korea. It wasn't that long ago when people were saying, don't worry about it. It's going to be another year and a half before North Korea can actually do anything. Well, about a week later, he's supposedly testing a hydrogen missile. And there, as you recall, there was a Richter scale seismic event of 6.3 on the Richter scale. That's not a very small event. And people are saying, if that would be bigger than Hiroshima if they were able to drop a hydrogen bomb and what they have and what the size that we're seeing from the Richter scale. Now, who knows? And there were other, seismic activity after that. And there's rumors that the land around there, the mountain area around there, and the land where the testing was done is about ready to collapse due to that seismic activity. So, you got your wars and rumors of wars. You've got your other things happening. And all I can say is that from all of these signs, and as again, God did say to the believers, we will show you these signs. I will show you these signs that you will know that my return is near. And from Harvey, Irma, North Korea, Iran, and everything else, on and on, there are some people who are convinced that that is exactly what's being done. That God is showing us that we are in the end times, that his return is imminent. And whether this is true or not, I don't know. The UN did a probe. As you remember, back in April, the sarin gas was used in Syria, and people in Syria died. There were accusations from the United States and others who said that the Syrian government used the sarin gas on its own people. And Israel, even at the time, said, we saw them loading the sarin gas. We know that they did it. But a lot of people didn't want to believe that. A lot of people wanted to think, oh, there's no way that Syria would do that. Israel doesn't know. The United States doesn't know. They're just guessing. Well, they weren't just guessing, according to the UN, who did an investigation. And the investigation shows that Syria gassed its own people, that the Syrian government gassed its own people in April when they were using the sarin gas. And so, there you go. So you can believe the UN or not. I typically don't believe the UN. But in this case, I do believe that they, their investigation, and I'd love to see the investigation. I'd like to see how they proved it. But, when we have the United States and you have Israel saying the same thing, then I have to believe that that's just one more corroboration. And so again, you're seeing all of these signs. We're being warned. We're being told. So what does it mean for you and me? What does it mean for the believer? Well, what it means is that you need to be prepared. What does that mean? Well, you need to be able to have food and supplies for yourself, water, some for your neighbors, because the people who are non-believers are going to need that as times worsen. As you see more of these things, more and more frequent, as you see, Antifa and more chaos that's coming, you need to be able to be the light and help people. Now, I know there's some people going to say, Susan, that's just crazy what you're saying. These are just natural disasters. They happen all the time. We're not near the end times. And even what are the end times? What are you talking about? You have to go on what your gut tells you, what the Bible tells you, what the Holy Spirit tells you, that we are in the end times and that God's return is imminent, and what your role as a Christian is. There's no need for fear. People have talked about, panicking. What do I do? And, there's no need to fear. God is in control. And again, we've been told that this is going to happen. It's not a surprise. Nothing new. We know things are going to get progressively worse until God's return. That's just the way it is. And some people are actually happy that they're seeing these things come to pass, because they say that just means it's sooner that they're going to be with God. And, in a lot of respects, that's a very good attitude to take, because you're not in control. I'm not in control. And God is telling us, you're not in control. Hello. Your focus should be on me. So return to that. Return to God. Return your focus to where it really needs to be, and do what you're supposed to do. And kind of in some ways sort of sit back and watch it happen and watch it unfold. I do that a lot. I do the news that I do every day, and I do this show that I'm doing now, Knowles on the News. I do that not because, well, in a way it is. I want to tell you about politics. I want you to be up to speed. But a lot of it is because I want you to see what I'm telling you are things that God has already said are coming to pass. Even in electing our president, and having that I believe that was God's will. God ordained that for whatever reason. For this time, this is who is supposed to be president. I mean, nothing happens really without God making it happen, right? I mean, you can stop things, you can make it go a different way or whatever, but even that is something that God already knows you're going to do. So, I want to be the watchman that tells you this is coming. I want to be the watchman that tells Christians especially, get ready, be prepared, help others, bring people to God, because that's what's necessary. There are people that, need to help other people understand who God is, because the reasons that we're here, that you and I are here, are to bring people to God and have them saved before something happens and it's too late. So, that's why I do it. That's a lot of reasons why I do it. And I know that's reasons that a lot of you, why you do the things that you do. And we just have to keep going. We just have to keep being the light, knowing that we're not perfect. We are going to make mistakes. We're going to get things wrong. And everybody knows that. And, you're going to have people who are going to be attacking you because of the fact that you are a Christian. But you just keep walking one step in front of the other, relying on God, and put on the full armor of God. And that's all that any of us can do. So, again, we pray for those people in Florida with Irma coming your way. We hope that you leave, that you get to safety. God bless you and watch over you and keep you safe. But you've got to get out of there if you possibly can. If that's what you feel that you should do. Your governor is telling you basically to prepare, and in some places to evacuate. You have to do what you got to do. But I'm telling you, if it were me and I had this warning, I know where I'd be, and it wouldn't be in Florida if I were right in that eye of that storm. So we hope that you do get to safety. Now, in other news, as we know, yesterday a decision was made on DACA. And I know everybody knows what DACA is, but in case you don't know what DACA is, it's a deferred action for childhood arrivals. Basically, and a lot of people like to confuse DACA with anchor babies. It's not the same thing. Anchor babies are those that whose mother was pregnant, came to the United States, and gave birth to them in the United States, even though the parent came in illegally. DACA, on the other hand, are those parents who, let's say that the child was already born and they brought the child across the border illegally into the United States. So the children are here illegally, the parents are here illegally. And so back in 2012, let me take you back so that you can hopefully understand what happened, and we'll try to move forward. Back in 2012, Obama decided that he was going to create law, that he was going to enact law that only Congress has the authority to do. And that's what he did when he created the policy of DACA. Not only was that unconstitutional because he didn't have the power to do it, he didn't have the power or the authority as president to make law, but it was unconstitutional also because it concerned immigration law, which is a federal law, which a president has no control over. Again, that's up to Congress to act. So you're probably thinking to yourself, well, why didn't Congress do something? Well, probably because Congress were the same then as they are now. Chicken, cowardice, I don't know what other words you want to do it. Lazy, don't do their jobs that they're being paid for. Let somebody else do it, on and on and on. So in 2012, what should have happened is that the Congress should have taken steps and said, this is invalid. They could have taken, President Obama to court. They could have sued him, and they could have gotten that rendered null and void. And I think pretty much it would have been, because it was absolutely unconstitutional in every way imaginable. So President Trump on the campaign trail said, I'm going to get rid of DACA. And everybody liked it because you have 800,000 people under DACA who are not children anymore. They're about 25 years and older, who basically, while they're in the country, they're taking away about 30,000 jobs per month for people who are American citizens. Now, some of you may say, I don't really care. Those people should be able to stay. They didn't know anything else, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And some of them, I guess, apparently didn't even know that they were illegally here. They had no idea. That's a little hard for me to believe, because they're no longer children, and their parents are here, and they know their parents are here illegally for the most part. Most of them do, I would think. So I can't buy that argument, but okay, it doesn't really matter. But now that they're here, President Trump, the only thing that President Trump could do is to nullify, rescind, whatever word you want to use, that order, that executive order that Obama illegally put into play. And so you may think, well, why did he have to do anything with it? Well, somewhere, sometime, somewhere down the line, with either President Trump or somebody else, or somebody bringing a lawsuit or whatever, it would have been rendered unconstitutional. And then what are you going to do? Then what? Here's what the left would do. They would blame President Trump for not rescinding it in the first place. And don't think that they wouldn't have. They would have found a reason. They've already found a reason. Okay, so President Trump went out there yesterday and he rescinded DACA. He sent Sessions out. And then people were saying, well, why did you send Sessions? Why were you a coward? Why didn't you go out? Well, I don't know, because Sessions is in control of the Department of Justice and some of the laws that are, that go through the White House and the administration. I guess President Trump could have come out, and then it would have been, well, why didn't you send Attorney General Sessions out. So it's a no-win situation. But Sessions came out yesterday and said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to rescind it. We're going to start now we're not going to take any more new DACA applications. Those people that are in the process, you're going to go ahead and be in the process and continue on. And we're going to give the Congress 6 months to do their jobs. You would have thought that World War III started. Immediately, what happens? We see different groups on their way. Trump Tower. We got to go to Trump Tower because I don't know. If you put a cross there, I think they'll probably stop coming. and I think maybe they should. And why do I say that? Because, again, in my earlier thing, quit focusing on Trump. Focus where it should be. But I digress. Anyway, they go to Trump Tower. They leave school, middle school, I think, in Colorado to protest in Colorado. They come out of the woodwork from someplace in Arizona, in Phoenix, Arizona, and they take to the sidewalks and they just go. And rallies go on all night and protests go on all night. Do they know what they were protesting? What are you protesting? Well, DACA, of course. You mean that illegal, unconstitutional law that your former president put into play to, quote unquote, protect you? That's what you're protesting? No? Okay, so that's not what you're protesting. You're protesting that this president wanted to return the United States to law and order, and so he rescinded an unconstitutional policy. Is that what you're protesting? You wanted law and order? Oh, that's right. No, that's not what you're protesting either, because in this case, you don't want law and order because it was in your benefit. So as long as it's in your benefit, the law doesn't matter. The same people, and I've said this before, I would love to see these same people who say, well, I should be here. I'm DACA. I should be here because I didn't know that my parents came over here illegally, whatever. And all these people who are saying, yes, they shouldn't be deported. They should be here. If those are the same people that if you jumped in front of them in the line in the grocery store, they would probably take their cart and hit you with it. Literally, they don't understand what's going on here. And of course, here's what's not really a help. You have the left who've already come out and said, oh my gosh, you're going to be deported. You're out of here. They're going to round you up, etc., etc., etc. First of all, the Trump administration from day one has said, we're going to take out the illegals that are here that have committed a crime. Now, yes, I know crossing the border illegally is a crime, but we are overlooking that in the administration, and we have for past administrations as well. And this administration is finally doing the deportation of those that have committed a crime. So if you are a dreamer, those are under DACA, you're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. But the left is making it out like, oh, yes, you are. They're rounding you up, and they're going to take you out of the United States. And so the argument continues again today. They're going to separate families. People are going to be returned to a country they know nothing of. And on and on and on. Instead of saying, hey, look, President Obama got it wrong. In fact, we, the Congress, should have acted back in 2012 to enact a law that would have saved DACA people any trouble, any heartache, or whatever. We should have done that years ago, if not 5 years ago, back in 2012 when Obama did it. We should have done it before then. We should have done it in 2008 when they had the majority House and Senate, if I'm not mistaken. But they didn't do it. They didn't do it because they don't want to undertake anything that they don't have to. This is being forced upon them to do it, or they still wouldn't be doing it because they don't want to do it. They were happy enough to let Obama do the work for them and then sit back and watch it happen. And why? Because their constituents, they didn't want to end DACA or anything else. Their constituents were getting federal funding off of the illegals, DACA or otherwise, that were in the United States. So why do anything about it? And they were getting future voters in the country to stay in the country. So why even bring it up? Obama did all the dirty work, so why bring it up? And again, you've got these people out just saying, that Donald Trump, President Trump now, he's a racist because he wanted to get rid of and rescind an unconstitutional law so that Congress can enact a constitutional one. See, if you put rational thought aside, then you may be able to understand the way those on the liberal left think. That's the only way that you're going to be able to do it. I mean, I've never seen such vile things. Even the, Governor Terry McAuliffe, he had to get back in on the things. He comes out and he's talking about, how it was so wrong of President Trump to do this. Wait, what? It was so wrong of President Trump to get rid of a unconstitutional executive order? Since when, Governor McAuliffe? Do you not know the law? Is that why Charlottesville's in such trouble? Because you don't understand the law and how Virginia works and how the laws work in Virginia? Is that it? I mean, come on. And you had other people coming out, and they're using the same words. It's all that narrative they're going to push now. The words cruelty and cowardice. So now the president, it was cruel what he did. It was plain out cruelty. Okay, so let me see what was cruel about it. DACA people aren't going anywhere. They were only here for 2 years at a time under Obama in that unconstitutional illegal law. And yet somehow wanting the law to be enacted that will ensure those people under DACA of what they're getting. And so there won't be any doubt about it. There won't be somebody coming along later and rescinding it or whatever. Somehow that's cruel cowardice and just the worst thing that any human being could have done in the whole world. And I tell you, and some people are saying, I think that's going to be that it's a decision that President Trump regrets. And I look at that and I go, what a decision that President Trump regrets? You mean a decision where he brought us back to lawfulness and got us out of lawlessness? Somehow that's going to be the worst decision that a human being could make. And see, that's another. This is how far down the road we are. You know what I'm saying? We have gotten so far away from what lawfulness is in this country. Some of us, not all of us. I'm specifically talking about those on the liberal left. If we can't even be okay with lawfulness, we're in trouble. And we are in trouble. We really are. But then, you see people too who, again, immediately, people like Lindsey Graham, they had to get in front of the camera. Lindsey comes out and says, I see Lindsey as one of the class clown, the guy who comes out and he's got to lighten the mood, right? He comes out, he's got to say something funny so people will laugh and they won't know how serious things are. So he did that yesterday. He comes out and basically talks about, well, look, dreamers, this was a great thing. This will cause us to have to do our jobs. And not only that, but listen up. How are we going to help your parents that are here illegally if we don't help you first? Now, people on the right who heard that and heard what he said are sitting there going, what? Because to me, that really smacks of amnesty. It says that we're going to give, I don't know about this. It sounds to me like we're going to give you citizenship here, here DACA, and then we're gonna allow your parents to stay too. And let me just tell you something. If they give the Dreamers, if they make them citizens, their parents who are here illegally will be staying, because they can sponsor their parents and they can become legal citizens. Now, I'm not so much against the Dreamers. What I'm against is I'm against people who don't follow the law. I'm against people who try to create law when they have no authority to do so. So my beef is with people who want lawlessness and who do not want lawfulness. That's my problem. It's not about a person or a race. It is about the law and the Constitution, period. And I don't like the fact that we have Dreamers and we have their parents who now may be able to get in front of everyone else who stood in line legally waiting to become citizens of the United States. I'm not happy about that, and you shouldn't be either. And to hear Lindsey Graham talk yesterday, the Dreamers were better than everybody. The Dreamers were better Americans. They're better citizens. They deserve more than the American citizen themselves. I mean, I couldn't believe the way he was talking. It was as if the Dreamers were the best thing that ever happened to America. And the Democrats have basically come right out and just about said that. You know, I listened this morning, and it was, trust me, it was hard to listen and to see all the Democrats lined up, including the I want to be your next president, Kamala Harris from California, who was there giving somebody the thumbs up, you know, because she's so great. But listening to Schumer and Pelosi and all of those people talking about the Dreamers and with their little signs up, you know, we're going to save the Dreamers. Well, you didn't save the Dreamers, you people in Congress who were out there this morning, Democrats talking. You could have done that years ago. So now you're going to try to take all the credit and not doing your job. But now all of a sudden, because you have to do your job, now you're going to be the heroes. Save it. Save it for somebody else who believes your lie. Nobody here does. And so what they said was, in their little, you know, we're going to be tough now. We're going to come after the Republicans because they're trying to screw you over and they're trying to deport you, even though nobody said anything of the kind. They said, what we want is, we want a vote on the floor, the Senate floor today, because we want to make DACA a law today. So, okay, so you want to make DACA the law of the land. So what does that mean? Well, right now as it stands, it says that they have 2 years that they can stay here on basically a work permit or a green card, and that's it, and then they have to go, or they have to reapply. So if you want to do that, yeah, you can go ahead and do that. You can go ahead and do that if you'd like, and then they'll just keep renewing it every 2 years. That's fine by me. You know, there are other people here, legal residents, people here on green cards are doing the same thing. Okay, no big deal. But you know, that's not what they want. That's not what they're going to go for. And in fact, they said that you Republicans, if you try to tie that, no, we're going to take that DACA thing, you know, and we're going to tie that to everything that you want. So anything that you want, you're going to have to deal with DACA. And even if you don't want DACA there, it's going to be DACA, DACA, DACA. If you don't allow us to vote for this right away. You know, whatever. And they don't want the president to get the wall. And they've already said, Dick Durbin yesterday said, you're not getting the wall. We don't want the wall. No wall. And so, you know, you've got people like McCain and Flake who already came out against Trump with DACA and oppose what President Trump was trying to do. Those people are already going to say no wall. They don't want a wall. Why don't they want a wall? Okay, let's start with the basics, because they're globalists. Okay, they don't want a wall. They don't want to keep other people out of here. They don't want America to be America. Kind of what I was talking about in the beginning. Whatever you want to call it, conspiracy theorists, whatever. If you want to call it that, you go ahead and call it that. I call it, having done my homework, done my research, seeing what's happened throughout the United States for all these years, knowing about the Trilateral Commission, et cetera, they're globalists. So, but you call them whatever you want. So, once again, we're going to see where the Democrats get everything they want and we get nothing. Now, some people will say, yeah, but we're going to get that wall. Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. And I think one of the things that President Trump was trying to do actually was cause a little, get a little leverage. And that's why he was doing this whole DACA thing and doing it the way he did and putting it back in the laps of Congress. Although really there's nothing else he could have done but rescind it. Like I said, he has no authority to create law. And so I think he was going to use it sort of as a bargaining chip. And the Democrats, being who they are, who literally stay up day and night to think these things up, said, we're not even going to allow you to have that bargaining chip. We're going to say you bring it out today, or everything is off the table that you want. We're going to make it so difficult for you, you can forget it. Kind of what they always do, but they're always seemingly a couple of steps ahead of us, because that's what they live and breathe. They live and breathe, if you call it progressivism or communism, whatever you want to call it, it's who they are. We don't do that on the right, and maybe that's our downfall in some respects, but we don't do that. We're not out ahead. And we need to get rid of these rhinos, because even if we are out ahead, the rhinos are going to vote with the Democrats. Think about this. We had Paul Ryan, one of the biggest rhinos, one of the biggest globalists, who, before the announcement was made on DACA by Sessions, he's like, I think you need to hold off there, President Trump. I don't think you should make a decision on DACA. Oh, really? So Paul Ryan wanted unlawfulness to continue. He was happy as a clam to let that happen. Now, after DACA has been rescinded, now Paul Ryan's happy. Oh, gosh, President Trump, I think you made a great decision, and I'm anxious to get ready to do our jobs. Okay, Paul, which one is it? Because either way, he's going to work towards getting what he wants. If President Trump had left it alone, then no big deal. He's still getting people here illegally. That's fine for him. And if he takes it off the table, that just means that now he's going to have to do his job. And what's he going to do? Well, he's going to lead people the way the Democrats want him to go. So either way, he kind of wins. He gets what he wants. And that's what we're going to see more and more of, as the globalists who are surrounding President Trump try to get him to come over towards their way. I don't know if they're going to be successful, but they're going to try. And they're going to try to get more and more things like this. I think, John Kelly, he was opposed to DACA. This is his chief of staff, Trump's chief of staff. He was opposed to DACA, but and he didn't want to rescind it. And so President Trump's like, I'm going to do it anyway. So he had to go out there and kind of, be for what President Trump wanted. I don't know how long he's going to be happy doing that. We elected President Trump because he's a man that thinks with his own brain independently of other people. And he has an uphill battle. He, as I've talked to you before, everybody around him practically now, they're globalists. You've got McMaster. You've got Kelly, pretty much, I believe, Kelly and McMaster pretty much they're the same. Dina Powell, Gary Cohn, Jared Kushner. All of those people that surround the president are pretty much globalists, elitists, and they know what they want. And that's open borders. Come on in, whoever you are, we don't care. They're working towards an agenda, and it's pretty much about the same agenda that you see the Democrats with. So, you know, don't kid yourself that the president doesn't have a difficult time. And that's why we need to keep praying for the president. We really do. Because he needs our prayers to protect himself from what's around him. It's very disturbing. But now you have people who in the past, again, who never said anything. They're stepping up and saying, yeah, we've got to all step up now with these DACA people, these dreamers. We had Cher that recently came out and said, all of us, we need to take a dreamer into our home. We need to let them live with us in our home. And others in my business, in her business, will do the same. So I don't know what business Cher's in these days, whether it's Hollywood, singing, or something else. She wants to bring dreamers into her home. Okay, that's what you want to do. And some other person, probably a conservative, wrote back to her and tweeted back and said, I'll believe it when I see it. And Cher, being that wonderful person that we all know her to be, said, keep your eyes open, bitch. Pardon the language, but, I had to tell you what she said. So, again, we have people like Cher who are going to do it their way. They don't care about the law. And it's also a scare. It's to scare people, to make you think that, you need to be protected. We had Rahm Emanuel, the mayor in Chicago, coming out yesterday. Hey, Chicago, we're a sanctuary city here. We love illegals, and you're welcome here. Well, nobody said DACA was leaving. Once again, it's a lie made by the left, because that's what they do. They lie to scare their base. And to get their way, because they'll have people protesting out in the streets. If you think Antifa was bad, wait until you see everybody out protesting with DACA. They already started a week ago. So from the scare tactics of the left to Cher's wonderful language and who Cher is, we'll see where DACA goes. What's going to happen in the meantime is nothing. What's going to happen with Congress is probably going to be working towards amnesty, and we'll have to see what President Trump actually ends up signing on his desk. A lot of people have said, I don't see him signing anything that deals with amnesty. We'll see what happens. We'll see how far the battle goes. But I will say that President Trump doesn't have the authority to create law. He doesn't have the authority to make a new executive order one way or the other, although he says if Congress doesn't act, he'll revisit it. And I don't know what that revisiting will be, and we'll just have to see. But, again, it's interesting. It never gets easier, and it's not going to get easier. Know that there's always going to be this battle that we face with those on the liberal left. And we need to just continually try to get out the truth, continually try to be the light in the darkness, continually pray for the president, the vice president, and everybody in the administration, for the United States and for each other. Because where we're headed in the times that we're going into, that's exactly what we're going to need to do more and more of. So I pray that you and your family are safe, that you're nowhere near the storm and coming in of Irma. I pray for those in Houston that you will recover quickly. God loves Texas. We all love Texas. And, we bless you there in Texas. You have been a blessing to the United States, to watch you as you have been compassionate human beings to the rest of the world. And we thank you very much for that. We know that you will be back on your feet in no time flat. And until then, until next week, God love you. God bless you. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you again really soon. Take care.